The weight of intentionality. Many men today are lost, are directionless, don't have fathers, don't have guides, are stuck, rather allowing themselves to be stuck in society expectations, are choosing chaos and destruction, darkness, as the scripture says. And if you're a man who believes in the Most High, is doing his best to follow the Most High, and you're ambitious, you understand the weight of intentionality and keeping yourself from temptation, from sin, from transgression, from iniquity, while also pursuing a life after the Most High, while also pursuing a life that you want, right? Many men, they feel like when they follow the Most High that, they can't live a life that they truly desire. That they have to, either suppress everything they desire and settle with what they have, or they have to let go of the Most High and, follow life after the world, which is when you look at the scriptures and you look at the parable of the sower and the sower, that's exactly what the parable is, right? Some will bear for a minute, and then others will find out, the riches of the world will pull them away. The hard part about actually walking a life after the Most High, being a man after the Most High's heart, is learning how to govern the power that He's given you, while increasing, right? Learning how to govern what you have and steward what you have without letting it affect you. The scripture says the more you exalted, the more humble you should be, right? He who exalts himself shall be abased, and he who abases himself shall be exalted. And when you have the whole world in your hand and you have the ability to go get anything you want, you have access. That really is what will expose you or will make you as a man, especially as a man of the Lord. See, a lot of guys, they could get off with, oh, let's be let's be frank. Oh, well, I don't want a woman because they spawns of Satan. I don't want money because it's gonna make me a bad person, and money is the root of all evil. When the scripture itself says that a rich man's wealth is a strong tower, you know, paraphrasing. And a lot of men of faith, so called, never actually take the time to, actually learn how to govern their desires. But what if you could live a life after the Most High and still have everything you want? What if you could live a life after the Most High and still stay with within alignment with Him and what He wants, what the Scripture says? And that's the path, the weight of intentionality, the weight of responsibility. You see, when you actually follow the Most High, things like ask and you shall receive happen. Doors open that you never know or actually would be opening. There's things that happen in your life that only you'll be able to understand and see. And people may think you're crazy. And that's okay, that's all right. But within those moments, are you going to trust what the Most High is showing you? Or are you going to revert back to allowing people to deter you to the ways that they've known, right? And if you're godly ambitious, which I'm sure you are if you're on this channel, something that you have to understand is that it's your responsibility to learn how to govern your desires. Because all lust is are desires that are unchecked, right? That's all lust is. Lust is not only sexual. We could lust after anything. We could even lust after ourselves, making ourselves our own gods, putting our own needs first before the Most High, which is why we constantly have to mitigate and constantly reflect and constantly show the Most High that we're ever more humble before Him. But how do you actually handle the power that's given to you as you increase? Was setting up the correct systems, more prayer, more fasting. I'm in a season where I'm seeing this happen in my life, so which is why I'm able to talk about it. And I've been here before. The power crushed me. The power exposed me the first time around. The power showed me who I really was. I began to acquaint power, and you know what happened? I fucking fell to it. Why? Because I couldn't handle it. It was too much. But now that, I've learned how to regulate my nervous system, trust in the Lord more, and actually let go of outcomes, and actually be detached from the world, not just in theory. You know what I mean? And what I've learned is that when you're faithful to staying pure, to being holy, which is being set apart, the Most High will show you the paths and the ways. But it takes a leap of faith to be able to go through these things and trust Him and trust yourself, that you're not going to lose yourself. Because that's what a lot of men in the faith are so called are afraid of: losing themselves, losing themselves in the power. But I would say it's rather a lack of faith if you don't trust yourself to govern your own desires. And that's a place I landed after, I lost everything I had built, and I lost who I was that I didn't trust myself with success no more. I didn't trust myself to make the right decisions. I didn't trust myself, to be able to lead properly. And it created a lot of internal doubt and a lot of pressure, a lot of resentment, because I started blaming the Most High instead of realizing like I'm choosing to be like this. And it wasn't until a man called me out and said a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways that I realized I had to make a decision: either accept that, supposedly living a life after the Most High's misery, or actually follow what the scripture says and continue to build myself up, continue to trust the Most High, that He'll teach me how to have the capacity to hold the power, how to actually, govern my desires and actually free me from these things of this world. And now, 2.5 years later, I'm reaching those points. You know, I'm not perfect, I'm not sinless, but as the scripture says, we can move towards being whole and entire. And I think the beautiful thing about this walk, and especially where I'm at right now, is that, you know, um, I feel more responsibility more than ever. And I'm sure many of you, that as you increase, as the Most High increases you, you understand the weight of intentionality, right? See, a lot of men, they like to call themselves kings. Oh, I'm a king. I'm a king. But then, bro, when you're actually on the throne and you're making moves that are going to benefit not only you, but your entire kingdom, now you're thinking about, you're thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead for everyone else around you. There's a certain weight that comes with that. There's a certain burden that comes with that. And a lot of men, they have this, I guess you could say, they have this freedom from that responsibility, this basically carelessness, that their actions won't affect other people and their actions won't affect them. You know, when you're actually intentional and moving intentionally, and actually, moving after a life you want and knowing what you want as a man, you begin to realize how much you need to protect yourself, how much you need to see yourself as an investment. And that's truly when you start to go from servant to son of God, right? From prince to a king. Because now you're in a position where these moves, these decisions are, they're up to you. You could open many doors and be led in through many doors, and it's up to you to decide what you're going to end up wanting, what you're going to end up wanting to do, what you're going to end up choosing. And you have to live with those decisions. But if you get stuck with the weight of responsibility, you'll never move and nothing will never change. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. See, a lot of men, they like to pretend they sit on the throne. You know what I mean? No man actually. I think a lot of men that are ambitious, that are competent, they like to sit on the throne because of the crown they get to wear, because they get to be in control. But if you ask them about the burdensomeness of thinking for other people, leading other people, guiding other people, there's a certain level of tiredness within them that says like, yeah, I wish I could take a step back. But because of how we're wired and who we are, that's not the case. Responsibility follows you around. You're always going to be in a leadership position, even if you don't want to be in one. And the way we accept this is really to stop running away from that part of us. A lot of us, we wrestle with the responsibility. I've often asked myself, like, how do other men move so free, like carelessly? Like me, I'm very intentional, so it doesn't make any sense to me to see other men just move, just as the scripture says, are like a palm tree. They're like a palm tree. They just go from left to right. They're neither good nor bad. They're not upright. They're like the wind. They're like leaves blowing in the wind. I couldn't understand it. But that's why heavy is the head that wears the crown. When you know that this is you, when you know that you were chosen for it, you have that weight and responsibility. But you do others a disservice, and you do yourself a disservice when you're constantly warring within and constantly flip flopping between decisions, constantly running away from the responsibilities that you know are given to you. We can't, it's not that we can't handle responsibilities, it's that the burden of the responsibilities is what gets to us. It's the burden. But the men that are most conscious of that are the men that are most prepared for that, because they're weighing out the good and the bad. I think that makes you the most qualified. That makes you the one that should be in charge. And every time I've gotten to this point in my life, it allows me to accept myself in an even deeper level. Because, a lot of us, we deal with imposter syndrome. We'll be like, why me? Why do I got to take on this responsibility? Why did the Most High make me like this? It's easier to accept that this is the way He made us rather than fight it. Accept it. It's a gift. It's a calling. To be a leader is a calling. It's a gift. It's a burden, but it's a gift. You know, with great power comes great responsibility. Too much is given, much is required, and you've been chosen for much responsibility. Responsibility is power. But you being so conscious and you warring within yourself, you fighting, you know, that's a great sign that whatever it is you're running away from is yours. And the Most High is just waiting for you to take it. And it's up to you whether you're going to take it or not. You may reach a point where He's not going to make that decision for you. He's going to put the decisions in your hands and say, okay, you choose. You choose. And that's a scary place to be at. Because now you're being trusted with governance over power that He's given you. Now there's no more, serendipity events where He rescues you out of. You know better, now you do better. I trust you enough to make decisions where you don't need me to constantly, you know, that's the mark from a servant to a son, right? And it's a beautiful place to be at, but it's also scary. Not to say that He'll abandon you, but that's to say that you're ready for everything you've been asking for. You're ready, especially if you've been keeping yourself pure and clean. Now, if you keep choosing sin and temptation, we like to say we fall into it, but really we choose it. Let's be candid. You have to do the best that you can to even avoid those situations, because the fire will catch you. Your lust will catch you. But we have the power to say no, as the scripture says. There's no temptation that the Most High puts in front of us that we cannot resist, that He allows to be put in front of us, that we cannot resist. With that being said, that is the weight of intentionality and actually moving faithfully, intentional, with discretion and discernment as a man of the Lord. As you continue to increase, and learn how to govern the power He's given you, and have the world in your hand and still deny access of the world to you, that is a level of ambiguity that you have to deal with. I'm still struggling with that word just a bit. I'm going to be opening up a brotherhood next week. It's going to be the 1% Man Brotherhood, and it's going to be running at $50 a month. And we're going to run different challenges and challenge each other to upgrade in our life. And, you guys will have access to me and access to other brothers that are going to be in the group. I really want to create something special, on this channel. I've been building up towards this in the entire time, but I really want to create something special. The systems that I run with my own brotherhood, and I really want to, just find men who are actually willing to live in alignment with the Most High and challenge ourselves in this world of wickedness and learn how to actually be men after the Most High's heart. But you guys know I'm an Israelite. I'm very candid. I'm very direct with the way I teach the scriptures. Within this brotherhood, I will not be going over doctrine. This will be strictly for us to come together, to keep each other accountable with what we say we want to do in this life, and make sure that we chop up some bread. You know what I mean? We all need brotherhoods, and I want to open this and do something great for y'all. So I'll go ahead and put the link down below in the description as I open it up, and you know that's it. Peace.